Simpler times. Before we realised the Americans were our enemy. So Daniel Kitson's with us. Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
You've been with us, you've been chipping in, haven't you, like a proper guest?
Yeah.
For the first bit.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
So, Daniel, you're probably best known as a stand-up, but you're in flight from that, aren't you?
Yes. My news show is about penises and how funny and serious I can be.
What is it about, though, the news show?
It's a story. It's just one story, basically. It's a long story. It's a love story, probably. Sort of bit of misanthropy, bit of romance, some apples.
Are there apples in it?
Yeah.
What, actually real ones? Do you see them, or do you just describe them?
I described them, and they're on a screen.
Oh, right. Budget couldn't stretch to...
real apples.
No.
No. I refuse to be a prop act. So I put them all on screen. Yeah. So it's about, you know, it's about some people who meet and fall in love. That's it. It's just about. That's it, really.
What's it called? We should mention that. That's what proper radio would do.
It's called A Made-Up Story because
you made it up.
Yeah, and it's a story, and you know, and it was sort of about, you know, sort of part of the whole point of it was I don't really trust populism, and so I was trying really hard to sort of whittle my audience down.
Yeah, well, see, Daniel, you won an award, for
yeah,
the Perrier Award for stand-up last year, and was this like a kind of, did that put you in a position where you, okay, what normally happens when people win an award, it seems to me, is in whatever area of the arts they're in, suddenly loads of people come who normally wouldn't have naturally discovered the thing, and a lot of them don't like it,
well,
or don't respond to what you're doing.
Well, yeah, it was sort of that problem, but exacerbated by the fact that I very ill-advisedly had a tiny role in Phoenix Nights, which I don't like at all, and I don't really mind people coming because of the award as much as I minded people coming and going, hey, Phoenix Nights, Spencer, you know, and then I'd have to go through this very long...
What was your character called in Phoenix Nights?
It's called Spencer.
So they just shout, hey, Spencer, at you.
But, you know, it really wasn't a character. They basically made me have a shave and stand in the background just looking harmless, and every time I tried to, you know, make any sort of input, shut up. You know, like, so, you know, at one point I tried to point out that possibly the storyline with the two Chinese men in the kitchen who fried everything was a touch racist. They told me to shut up. You know, it was just sort of a thoroughly unpleasant experience.
It's difficult when you get known for a thing, though.
Yeah, well,
Spencer.
it's sort of taught me a valuable lesson that I could have done with learning earlier. Sort of, you know, just because it's really hard when you get known for something that you had no creative input into and are at all proud of.
Well, I remember seeing Steve Frost and Mark Arden in the early '80s doing. You know, there used to be this double act. They did a really great version of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead in Birmingham, and then I went to try and see them doing it again about 4 years later, and they couldn't because every time they went on, people would be shouting out "Carling Black Label" in the audience, and it's kind of a choice you make. It's really difficult. Johnny Vegas has got the same problem.
Yeah, exactly,
every gig I worked with him in Edinburgh in the summer, and every gig it goes on, people go, "Hey, where's your monkey?" And he would go. He did a really funny thing one night. He went, "Well, I could explain to you that the adverts were pulled because of the company going bankrupt, and the woolly monkey actually became an asset of the a fixed asset of the company when they went into bankruptcy. And I've been through a legal thing about that, but it's now with the receivers. But just for you, it died and went to woolly heaven, right? And it's all right. I mean, when me and Rich did the double act, we'd get stuff shouted at each other. And actually, bizarrely, 5 years later, You still do, and often it's things you can't remember even having ever said. But that's true, isn't it? Yeah. But it doesn't matter because you kind of controlled it. But if you feel it's out of your hands...
Yeah, but you see...
And we were never that successful either.
No.
Phoenix Nights has been amazing. If you don't like it, unluckily, it's been... I've never seen, actually, but it's been amazingly successful.
It's been ridiculously successful. Pretty
it's
much.
the best-selling DVD ever.
It was for that week. The officer's overtaking it again. Because more people have got DVD players this year, so that's the first thing that came out.
Yeah, that's basically it. But sort of, it's successful pretty much purely on the back of those John Smith's adverts that he did, and that sort of boosted his profile, and then everyone started watching it. But sort of, I was perfectly happy being in the first series, had a really small part, and it was on late at night, and no one really saw it, and that was fine, but it's just...
So basically you accept work now on the condition that hopefully no one will see it. Would you like to be in our show? When's it on? About 4 in the morning. Oh, yeah. I'll do that.
Yeah, it's sort of... Because the thing is with my stand-up as well, is it's very easy for people I really despise to sort of have come along and enjoy it, because I swear quite a lot, and I'll be talking about how I despise people like them, and then they'll come up and go, that was great, do you want to come out now and get lashed? I'll just go, I just did an hour about how I don't drink and how I hate people like you. And it's just all of it.
But you're in a, you've gone on stage, you're in a public space, and you can't control who comes. Although, is this show that's an attempt to shake them off?
Absolutely. It's.
I'll show them.
Yeah. Well, sort of. That's the basic idea. It is, sort of. It is that frustrating thing of you can't control who likes you. But then you go, well, hang on, I can control it a bit by doing more and more work which is less and less accessible, and that's basically it.
You have some kind of private income. There was a thing in the Observer actually the other day about history of the guy that took all the photos for Sub Pop album sleeves. That was the Seattle label that did Nirvana, and he said, well, look at the audience change, right? And he goes, up to about 1992, the audience for all these bands is like geeks.
Yeah.
And the people on stage were geeks, and the audience were geeks, and it was all the geeks talking to each other. Yeah. And he goes, look, at about after 1992, because it sounded like hard rock, and it got in the charts, the audience, he says, is testosterone-crazed football hooligan fans. And it was a really interesting thing to point out, but I think that's... Obviously, being mentally ill on heroin didn't help Kurt Cobain. But I think one of the things that drove him to suicide was this feeling of his work being out of his own hands. It mustn't have happened to you, Daniel. You mustn't know.
But it's an incredibly sort of frustrating thing when you've done an hour or like an hour and a half of stuff which is really quite sort of deeply personal about stuff that you think and feel and stuff, and yet still he's an idiot. So basically, sort of this story is the latest in a long line of me going, oh, so you think you like me, do you?
If you like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, look, I asked everyone to bring in some music. Richard Herring didn't.
You didn't ask me.
I did, I'm sure I did. All right, okay, I didn't then. But what's this? Because I knew you'd only be the Buzzcocks and Simon and Garfunkel. But we've got... Daniel chose this, which is from a solo thing by Ben Folds. Not with his five. And this is called There's Always Someone Cooler Than You.
Yeah.